Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us at the Global Center for Christ Consciousness. What would you like to have me cover today?
Talk about infinite peace.
Infinite peace. Pardon?
A true you. Revelation.
Trust. Expectations.
Okay.
Trust
Okay. Surrender. Good. Thank you. It's so amazing, the way the world works and how we can hear music played and get stuck in the notes and get stuck in the music. Someone's talking, you get stuck in the words. Lovers get distracted with activity that they're exchanging. And it's amazing because the presence of God is in the still small voice. It's this quiet presence where we can then, boom, this happens. When we seem to have been created as human beings, we were as God is, and then through this pinhole of a veil, a pinhole. The veil was created. It's Nyx, the goddess Nyx. It's night. It's the void. And that happens first. And then everything's created from that feminine presence. But a pinhole through that veil happens, and we fly through it into a universe that looks like it's being created. And we're like, wow, look at this thing, this marvelous experience, this nebulas and all this, the gaseous experiences and the stars and all that's being created. But it's actually being uncreated. The more stimulus that we flew into, the more distraction, and we forgot who we were. And we actually think studying who we are is how we remember. But you have to unstudy. Like, oops, hey, God, guess what happened to me on the way to myself today? I started studying, and God would be like, God, that's hilarious. Studying what? Oh, it's bizarre. You don't even want to know. No, tell me. Studying who I am. Oh my God, that is funny. By studying who you are, you're actually trying to define yourself. But you're the one who screwed yourself up. You're the one who said, I'm not as God is. I'm something else. Let me think about it. And then we start studying and figuring and assigning titles to it. I'm a male, I'm a female, I'm a this, I'm a that, or, whatever it happens to be. And it's all kind of funny because every word we add to ourselves is a distraction. There's a point in the Garden of Eden where Adam is told, name everything. But that's because Adam is falling. There's a difference between the shamanic concept of knowing versus, which is to tune in like I'm part of everything, so I can know everything because I'm part of it. How does a musician play? He can play at an audience or he can tune into the audience and reflect back. Then they're like, every note, oh my God, that was so meaningful. And that's the greatest magic in music, when you're actually reflecting to them what they already know. I remember, so many times in music where I remember standing at a conference with a couple of musicians, and we were listening to one of the musicians play. And this was so astounding. This musician's on stage playing. We never heard the song before. And we're standing, and I'm not a musician, but I'm standing with them, but I have the mind of a musician, meaning, a connecting mind. And so we're standing there, and this musician's playing. We actually knew the notes as they were coming. Here it comes. Da-do, da-da, 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 da-da. And we're like in the back of the room, and then marveling at, oh, you saw it too. Because it's the magic. You know because they're playing you. That whole concept. They're playing our song, which usually they're not. It's from the head. But when they're really playing our song, it's like they're playing the notes. Remember the song, Killing Me Softly? He's playing my heart? How does he know how I feel? This woman, sees this guy playing the song, and she's like, oh my God, he's killing me softly. Like he knows what's happening in me, and he's singing my words, my song. It's amazing, but yet not. It seems amazing because we went away from knowing how to do that. And how, if I do a talk or certain healers shouldn't be healing at you. They should be tuning into you and then know the dance, what's happening. You see, it's just, that's a symptom of getting back to the magic. When lovers meet, there's what's called in Tantra and Taoist traditions, the upper gate, and then there's the lower gate. But you're supposed to knock on the upper gate before trying to enter the lower gate, if you understand what I'm saying there. There's also a middle gate right here. So imagine, instead of kicking the upper gate open or any other gate, can you approach the gate and meet? Forget activity. Don't open your mouth. Just stop. Just meet first. And then let the God part happen, which is not active. It's in the still small voice. So being with somebody in the still small voice, and then the mouth should respond to that. When that happens, then the heart's being knocked on, and then can respond to that. You see, it's this organic unfolding, right? The lotus just surrendering to the beloved or the lover. And it's the same with dance or anything else. Instead of, oh, look, a song, and then you just start moving. Do you take any time to find out what's happening in that song and let it play through you? That concept. One of you asked about the word surrender. And ironically, one of you asked about this concept, infidelity. How do those go? How could those be put into the same talk? I love it. Because the infidelity is like the infidel it comes from. This person who is ignorant. The infidelity, they know not what they do. It's not like they're evil. They know not what they do. Well, I want somebody who doesn't do that. Well, then, right. So get out of your ignorant self and get into your knowing, and then let that play magically as to who you attract in your life. And know that the other is not an acceptable thing. I'm not interested in that. So the more we know who we are, the more the magic can play through us. We can label people and say, this I don't like, or that I don't like. I don't like that song, or I don't, whatever it happens to be. But again, it's not because it's bad. It's because I don't feel the resonance. Learning to take responsibility. Who am I? What am I about? And, get out of the ignorance. The ignorance meaning, like Buddha was saying, and I've said this several times, but we hear Buddha say the ultimate cause of problems is ignorance, and people thought it meant a lack of knowledge. So we need to study more. And that's not what he meant. He meant forgetting who you are, ignorant of who you are. But it's so funny because humans make Buddhism into one of the most intellectual philosophies or practices. How interesting. Well, because he said be mindful. He didn't mean be intellectful. He didn't. And when he said ignorance, see what happens, the human interpretation? Oh, I like Buddhism. And, why do you like Buddhism? And you don't realize, it just seems so really Zenish and cool. No, it's because it's appealing to your intellectual self, and you don't realize it. Because you're interpreting him to say mindful and ignorance is the problem. You like the religion because it's matching your ego. He said mindful, and it really translates to be heartful, present. And when he said ignorance is the problem, he meant you forgot who you are. And that is the problem. He was right. Trying to then invent ideas of what Buddha meant and then try to intellectualize it and memorize sutras and tantras and so on. It's just stuff again. It's just more stuff. And people have so many different ways of disguising the ego underneath everything, the obvious, blatant ego things of the world, but also, concepts of talking, philosophical and terminology that seems so fancy. And then you become like a spiritual version of one of those magazines at the checkout store that say 10 things you should know about yourself. 10 ways to know who you are. The magazine is the least likely place to go looking Because it's going to say, 10 reasons why your partner doesn't want you anymore. The magazine's not, it's going to tell you something you need to do to fix. And then all that's going to come with is side effects, like medicines. What's going on? Learning to feel again, learning to plug in again as a musician, learning to experience again, and it's kind of like saying, God, here I am. Michael, be present, be present. And then, what would you like me to talk about? That's the flow of relationship. God, self, others. God is, I am, we are. And then it's all plugged in. I'm not saying, and you asked one of you about the true you. And even the word revelation. We're not just talking about the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation is telling you how, so you have the Bible, here's Genesis, everything else, and then Gospels, the time of Jesus, Old Testament, New Testament. So Genesis, Old Testament, all the way up to here, birth of Jesus, and you have the Gospels and the Acts of the Apostles and the Revelation. So it ends with Revelation, but it's interesting. Genesis, Revelation. Genesis is supposed to be the creation of man. Revelation, some horrible disaster story at the end, which is weird. It just makes the whole story dark. But really what it's telling you is your uncreation. When you went from being the light of God into coming into this world and forgetting who you are, which is why all these other bizarre stories are in there. War and death and decimation. And you see, that's all what would happen if you could separate. If you could go from being the light of God into being a person, this is the kind of stuff that can happen to you. The good news is this guy woke up and he remembered complete divinity, meaning before Genesis. Who was I? Bing, it happens. And he's called the Messiah, the one that's expected to come and remind us. So he does. And then we kill him. If that doesn't tell you something, that's not just cruelty to another human being. You're actually trying to kill your divinity. Well, I wasn't there. You were. We're all connected. We're afraid of our light more than our darkness. So how do we know that? Because we're in this together. If you say, I love the idea, Michael was saying, the music playing through you. If you like that, you can't conveniently keep that and keep this out. It also means the we that plays through the music is the we that crucified Christ. Own it. Somewhere in my being is I'm afraid of my true self. And I know that no, I'm definitely not, because I'm so dang spiritual. You're not even open to the idea, the possibility. If you're not afraid of your light, then why are you as you are? Why do you still burn toast? Why do you have lactose allergies or gluten allergies? Why? If you're totally in touch and you have no issues, why is there a problem? Listen, if you walk through the snow and leave footprints, don't tell me how divine you are. You're still leaving footprints. You're still here, man. You're still combating with the dense self, and it's not wrong. Just laugh at it and say, isn't it? I left footprints. Isn't that funny? Because to err is human. To leave footprints is human. And to not care about it is divine. See? This isn't to where I must not leave footprints. Go ahead. It's just called obsession. Do you realize now you're addicted to being divine? It's just another addiction. And you sound all spiritual, but you're just another addict. It just looks better. You're trying to feel heroin, but you're an addict, really. You're trying to feel a pseudo-spiritual heroin. The blessing comes from being able to laugh at ourselves and being able to, I still left footprints. Isn't that bizarre? But the funny thing just happened. Lord or whatever. Funny thing. I kind of laugh now when I see that. I laugh now when I go, oh man, I'm just so pure food oriented. And then you're like, today it's just going to be a candy bar. And laugh at it instead of cursing those people that make preservative kinds of foods. I was telling someone recently at our other center, because this is Sedona, so people are real sensitive about everything. And so somebody was seeing, and we were spraying, weeds at the other center. And so we're out there, and there I am, just helping out. We don't just tell a gardener to do it. If you're not, you should be willing to do other things you would ask others to do. So I'm out there and spraying weeds. And this lady drives by, excuse me. That was exactly her voice, too. No. Excuse me. Is that organic poison? And this has like nuclear waste in it, this container. This stuff is toxic, And I go, oh, absolutely. And I took the tip, as I was spraying, I took the tip up, popped it in my mouth. I said, yeah, it's all organic. She goes, okay, thank you. Drove away, and I'm like, not because I was having any issue with the poison. It was the taste. I'm like, this ain't no Snickers bar or whatever, like whatever this stuff is. So I'm like, to be able to laugh at it, honestly, to be able to laugh at it. People do not realize, as Edgar Casey said, Jesus laughed even on his way to the cross, Casey said. He was in pain, but he's still saying, don't believe what you see. The one time when he falls carrying the cross, and the one time recorded, there's recordings, lost books of the Bible and such, and the women are at the side of the road crying. He stops. Instead of, look at me, I'm such a victim, he looks at them and says, don't believe what you see. Like that, do you understand? Just that sentence is huge teaching. And he's doing it while on the way to crucifixion. How many of you could say on your way to divorce court, you were still like, everything's okay, don't believe what you see? No, it's like, I'll get that bastard, You get all triggered and into reaction because you're afraid and you're trying to preserve yourself. But what self? The divine self doesn't need your help in that sense. You're trying to preserve you or your finances. And I get it. We're afraid. But then own it. I'm afraid right now. And even if Jesus were to say, I'm afraid in the Garden of Gethsemane, what he says is, even though I'm afraid, I'm asking you to help me see this differently. He's showing us, he's teaching us how to handle day-to-day stuff. Right? It's amazing if you think about it. He was never just like, oh, I'm really going through some personal issues right now. When I saw the spikes, I was getting a little triggered, Asking the Romans, you guys should really do some tracking and clear this, whatever this anger at Christ is all about, Put down that spear, Instead he's like, whatever you think you can do to me, picture us doing this. Whatever you think you can do to me, he said to Pilate too, and we should be able to say to others, you have no power other than that given to you. And when he says from above, he doesn't mean God put you up to this and I'm a victim. He means from within my higher self. I'm allowing you, Pilate, to appear to have this power. I'm actually using you to play this out. Now, when some people heard Judas, Jesus told Judas, I'm using you, they thought it meant he talked Judas into doing what he did. He's assigning the roles to people who already have those propensities. Okay? That's what he's doing. Pilate, you're already struggling, man, with this. I'm trying to be a good person, but I'm a procurator and I'm under Rome, so I have to do this or else. But the truth is, Pilate ends up being murdered, killed by order of Rome after the crucifixion of Jesus. So he had to face his fear. They're going to hurt me if I don't kill him. He kills him and he still gets killed. You have to face your fears. John the Baptist, Jesus himself said, John the Baptist had lived a previous lifetime, which is good verification of past lives. But Jesus says John was Elijah. But one of the interesting stories about Elijah is Elijah ran to protect himself because there was this, crazy queen that was after him. She put out a hit for him. She put out notice, I want Elijah killed. And Elijah got worried. And he went and hid away for a while. Elijah ran and hid from this woman trying to kill him. Do you understand? He came back as John the Baptist and got beheaded by the same woman reincarnated. But this time, when they're coming to get him and they're getting ready, he's down in the dungeon. Praise God, it's okay, man. Be with me, oh Lord. And he's just in devotion. Because in a way he knew, I'm not hiding this time. Come get me, world. See, Jesus to the cross. John the Baptist to the cross. John of the Cross to the cross. St. Teresa. The real heroes in life are ones who have, yes, run into fires to help others, but that's not the only piece. It's without concern of this self, because this self doesn't matter. You understand what I'm saying there? Is that making sense? This self doesn't matter. Every time you try to save this self, when you try to eat even the right foods to save this self, you're still going to die. You know, just in a little while, all the people that have been living like granolas, they're going to start passing away more. And on their deathbed, there's going to be this astounding number of testimonials. It'll be in the paper. 90% of people that pass away say, I could have been eating good food all along, and but I still died eating this stuff that was tasteless. It was like cardboard with salt on it, salt from the Dead Sea. Or some, special Irish salt or whatever, Irish sea. I'm joking, but it's are you at peace? If you eat right, but be at peace about it. Don't shame those who don't eat the way you eat. Just laugh and be at peace. There's this concept of, we think of ourselves as falling. We fell from grace. And if we judge it and say, well, linearly, when I eat certain foods, I'm doing bad. It's like repeating the original fall, separation from God. I eat badly. I got to stop. I didn't do this quite well enough, and we got a divorce, and too many divorces. It's us falling. All the things we judge ourselves are repeats of us falling from grace, from heaven, and then judging ourselves for it. So picture this. What if I turn my head? Now the fall is somebody who's going from left to right. If I go this direction, right to left. What if I get it stand on my head? Now they're ascending. And in part what I'm saying, it's called what? Perspective. All the things you think were your worst mistakes, they're just opinions. They're your perspective. So many people now are being recorded who have had near-death experiences that say, everybody's wrong about this. And I thought, when I get to the other side, I am certain I'm in trouble. And, there was Jesus or whatever, some being of light, saying, no, that's all stuff you made up. There is no time. Everything's okay. You selected certain things to go through in this lifetime. Why? Because I was paying for my sins? No. You selected them because you thought that was the best way for you to learn what you thought you needed to learn. What was the better alternative? Should I have picked? You're still thinking. So I shouldn't have picked them. I should have married them instead. And that should have been my mother. No, you're still thinking. Which is why we keep reincarnating. It's a thinking issue, not a drinking issue. Right? So it's a thinking problem. How do I stop thinking? Then how do I know what God was? Shh. Back to this. And here's what happens when we learn. Just stop. We're created, and then we try to manage with life. Old Testament and the rules, the 10 Commandments. And the 10 Commandments are like you're almost doomed anyway. If the 10 Commandments are from God to mankind, I was barely born and I already started committing sins against some of them. Right? And I'm only like 1 second old. And I'm already wishing for something else. So the 10 Commandments were not there to live up to per se. They were really there as guidelines, but they're 10 disciplines. Buddha gave disciplines, the Old Testament, Moses gave disciplines. They're guidelines, but what's behind them? It's not, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. That's not what they were saying. It was, you're going to be tempted to do these things, right? But if you know who you are, you're likely not going to. If you know who you are, you're not going to kill or steal. But not killing or stealing doesn't make you holy. Knowing who you are makes you holy. So if you follow the commandments or even the disciplines of Buddha, it's called behavioral modification. It has to be here. So if you are someone you've experienced infidelity from someone and you say, I need you to never be, unfaithful to me. Oh, okay. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. And you can say, I'm going to put a shock collar on you to make sure. It's still not going. As soon as you have thoughts of arousal, somebody else, it's that'll become like stimulating at some point. Oh, wow. You want me to bring a little life into your life? It's kind of strange, right? It doesn't guarantee faithfulness. What does? Knowing who I am helps me to know who you are. And that's not what I want to bring to you. Not because you told me I can't do otherwise. I can't imagine otherwise. So when Jesus says, I am here to fulfill the law, he didn't mean just I've behaved perfectly. I've made, none of the commandments did I break. That's not what he was saying. I fulfill the law means I have nothing in me that would do those things. What about coveting thy neighbor's goods? How could you covet someone else's goods when you know who you are? You can create anything you ever seen in anyone that you like. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's. Why would I need thy neighbor's wife? If I want a wife, here I am. Is there someone that can match that? Well, here they come. It's knowing who we are. There's no need to covet. There's no need to kill. How would you kill if you know you're killing yourself? Why would you kill? Even killing is like, you can kill hope in people. And people do. Try to kill the hope in other people. But when you do it, the boomerang comes around and you realize all that I've done to myself. All that I've ever thought was about me. When I thought someone else, I'm unworthy and somebody else deserves better or whatever it happens to be, these are all reflections of myself. You put somebody in political office, they're reflecting the sickness in some cases in everybody else. So you don't fix the world by material means. So this concept of Genesis, this is telling me about how I was created. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. That's in Gospel of John. That's about us. We're the Christ, and we were in God and with God. That's really, really great message, because John was the mystic of the four Gospel writers. So he's like, this is how it all began. And then it was interpreted that he's talking about Jesus. He's talking about the Christ. Yeah, but that's Jesus. No, it's the real us. In the beginning was you. And you were in God, and you were with God. Nice, okay. Then what happened? Genesis and all this other stuff, which we don't need to detail, Old Testament. Then the birth of Jesus is the remembrance. Now Jesus comes, he tells us, I got it. I'm the Christ. I'm the remembrance of you. And all that I've done, you will do and more. So you two are going to wake up to who you are. This is great news. They call it the good news of the Gospels. The good news is not black and white paper, with ink on it. The good news is, guess what? This is a joke. And it's not really happened. The good news is you've never actually fallen and gone through the karmic effects that Genesis and everything else told us, Deuteronomy and all these other books told us about. And the truth, the good news was leaked in there now and again. When you hear the wisdom writings of King David and Asaph, who helped him write some of the Psalms, or Solomon, the Songs of Solomon, the wisdom books, as it's called in the Old Testament, those are when somebody was plugging in and recognizing, oh my God, this isn't about all the doings. This is about finding the beloved. And the beloved we think are finding somehow compatible genitalia, and think that's the beloved story. No. Actually the male-female that's described in genitalia, in the root area, is actually reproduced here. Our heart has a replication of male-female. Doesn't matter who's what or because we're all androgynous beings. So in my heart, I don't find myself with one type of anatomy or another. In here, I realize there's an alchemy happening, this fusion of my masculine and feminine. And also, since this is the center of what's called unconditional love, I also don't notice to think to judge somebody for their preferences, their style, because it's all male-female anyway. So I go from being you are this and that, and labels, to I don't know. just unconditional love. And we have to find that place before we can rise to the next place. So if I use the body as a metaphor, my human life, book of Genesis, or the books of the Old Testament, rising to the point where in our hearts we're birthing something new. The Gospels have been born today. When you reach your heart, that's the moment Jesus was born. Peace on earth and goodwill to man. See, the Bible is a metaphor of your spiritual development. But Genesis isn't when you were created by God. It's when we were uncreated and we went from the beingness into bodies and started the doingness. So we move through, now I reach my heart. Let's say each of us just hearing this, we go, I'm going to accept this as truth. That means you and I right now are doing it again. We're going back to another level of birthing the Christ because we said so. Because we said, that's what my heart's about. I want to know the truth of God that I am. And then this just starts to, wow, something magical's happening. And even if you share that with someone else, stories of Jesus, apostles, and even Mary Magdalene, the meeting of lips, that's the actual translations. It's not, and heeth was makingeth on hereth. This was not about making out. This was about sharing. It's a term that's translated, sharing the same breath. Did not mean kissing per se, but it did mean kissing. It could mean kissing. So they would kiss sharing the same breath, which meant the breath means spirit, if you translate from the original. So when to kiss a person meant you're sharing the same intention. But people make out, and they follow the compulsions of the body. When you're going to kiss another, before you do, can you first discover whether you're sharing the same spirit intention or not? Well, no, they were just hot. Now you're burning. How you doing? Was it worth it? You're in your personal hell burning, because what I mean by the hell and burning is you now have reduced yourself to a human consciousness, just a dense animal consciousness. Well, how do I repent? Well, you just choose again. And you decide, I'm not giving my body up as a sacrifice anymore, which is also in the Bible. Jesus comes into the picture. Why do you guys keep killing animals? Well, it washes our sins. And he's like, laughing, you got to be kidding me. You guys actually think that if you take an animal and kill it, somehow your sins were erased. And he's patient. Yeah, he's patient. He's like, oh, wow. Okay. That's why they named him that, because he always said, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with this man? They just gave him the nickname because he was always saying it. Anyway. So that might not be true historically. I just channeled it, so you'll have to verify. But, it's like, you've got to be kidding. And what he says in the Aquarian Gospel, which we're doing a workshop on this month, what he says in the Aquarian Gospel to these leaders, those animals value their life as much as you do. Sacrifice them. It's called, in psychology, projecting. You think you're going to project your stuff, your issues on an animal, and then it makes you innocent. Adam and Eve did it to each other. She did it. No, he did. No, she. It's called projecting. Stop blaming your food for making you sick. Well, it is the food. Science says there is no science. That's just a lie. There's just you and your oneness with God. And if you're going to make believe, how many levels down do you want to drop? 1 level down? Okay. 2, 3, 4. To where pretty soon you're blaming the blames on the blamers and the blamees, and you're so far removed from who you really are. Wait, what if it's all my dream? What if it's all seeing things from a certain perspective? I'm going to stop evaluating and judging where I've been and what I've done. That doesn't mean I can't learn from it, because I believe I did these things. But to stay obsessed on the flaws and whatever else. So we get to the end, the book of Revelation. It means, apocalypse is the other word in the Greek for revelation. But what does the word revelation mean? It means to reveal. What do you think is being revealed? The thing we lost when we were born into bodies. That's why Revelation is about when God gets to reveal itself to us again. We fell in the garden way back in the beginning of the Bible, and now God's revealing itself. And it isn't to 144,000 faithful Christians from from only one religion. And then which one is it? Only a Christian religion. Which one of them? There's a new one born every day. A new religion, another faction of, which one is it? Because now think about that. If we're all Christians, those of us who, let's say, are Christians in the world, but only 144,000, that means they're all in church looking at each other, like, you're not getting in, man. Don't you dare try to take my seat. I mean, you think about it. How weird, how wicked that can get. So, who's the 144? And Jesus specifically says, let those who have ears to hear. He says this is a mystery. I'm telling you. Now immediately, why take it literally? If he says it's a mystery, he means there's a deeper meaning. So when he says there's 144,000, it's simple. In numerology, you add the 1 and the 4 and the 4. And the zeros are nothing. So 1, the 4, and the 4. It's a 9. 1 plus 4 plus 4. 9. That is the number of mankind. So who's going to be saved? Mankind. The 144,000 select to go home are mankind. And we sit around trying to figure out which one is going to make it and which billion are not. Guys, that's like thinking God is the God that wants you to kill an animal to wash your sins, which makes no sense. Listen, Fido, sorry. And it's just like the tail's wagging, sorry, you got to go because I was bad. I was naughty last week. Like just weird. I mean, it would be great business for the PetSmart or whatever these places are to sell animals so they can, just imagine the cages. Sacrificial animals for sale. That's sick, man. But they were doing that when Jesus came to the temple. They were selling animals to be killed. So his whole thing about what's wrong with you people was that you actually have a temple, a sacred place where you sell animals to kill, not only to kill them, which isn't very cool, but you're killing them and thinking God wants you to, which is doubly weird, so that you have no flaws. That's crazy. So yeah, he had a moment, and he said, Lord, what's wrong with you people? And, and then they kill him. We don't like that. You're cutting into our profit margins here. Yeah, right? So at the end of the day, what is revelation? Honestly, it's God gets to reveal itself to us again. Then why is Revelation all creepy? Because we're creepy. Revelation says, and these 4 beasts are going to do that. That's because of your 4 lower chakras, and they're beast-driven. What about the upper chakras where this is going to, and vials of this, because we're vile. We're hurtful, hateful people, and it's got to be purged out of us. When it says the seals are open, it means your chakra and your stuff has to come out and be seen. And then this vial was open, and then it brought forth, torrential rains and fire and brimstone. That's our judgments, these creepy things out of the pit. That's my lower centers opening up. And we all have them. All it means is you're taking out you're opening these seals. And you're saying, well, I want to become the Christ again. And the Christ is in you is saying, oh, great. Then we're going to need you to turn in all your non-Christy stuff. No, I don't think you want to see my non-Christy stuff because it's pretty non-Christy. So the Antichrist is the parts of me that don't want to own that I'm the Christ. The Antichrist is in us, and every center can have it. So John's sharing, and then a seal was opened, and it's like, boo, just creepy stuff. And then I saw 1/3 of the earth destroyed, and then I saw this destroyed, and then famine, and he's describing stuff of ours coming out. And then there was a great silence, it describes. And then some other things happen, and then there's a wedding. At the end of Revelation, where all my non-Christ stuff gets revealed, purged, cleared out, don't react to it, like Buddha's saying. See it objectively, don't react to it. Jesus says in A Course in Miracles, look at it like a procession going by. Stay objective to it, just see it. Why? Because you have to own it. This is also known as watching your life flash before your eyes. Except it isn't your life. It's your lives. All that you ever thought you were, just let it pass. Don't get attached to any of it. Oh, but I like that one. It's an illusion. Every one you grab onto because you like it, or, oh, I can't look at that. You gave it energy. Let it keep going. Let it keep moving. So that which is not me is passing away today. Then there's a wedding, John says, and I saw there was a great wedding being prepared. Because the bride for the bridegroom, the bride is your heart, your soul. My being, my soul is called, which is why that term we came up with recently, the daughters of heaven. It means souls who are dedicated to God. So the daughters of heaven are all of us, not females. It's my soul is a daughter of heaven. And so in Revelation, when it says there's a bride and a bridegroom, the bride is my soul, all of us. We're all going to do this at some point where we say, I've married lots of creepy people, which means all of my human bargaining. I sold myself out to jobs that weren't mine, to people that weren't mine. No, go. You see what I'm saying? No more. So now I'm being true to myself. Don't hate the others, forgive others. Here, I have to forgive myself. And now I'm pure. See, the woman, the white wedding dress, she's pure. That was all another compulsion of man. The reason we wanted to see white wedding dresses on those women, because we knew on some level they represent my soul that is pure. It's not whether she's pure, like the animals we slaughter. We kept throwing these brides into the volcano god. Honey, are you pure? And they used to even test the women. Got to make sure. Because if you're not, we got to have a shaming party. But the truth is, are you pure would have only really come from, do I perceive you as pure, no matter what you've done? And I refuse to see you as anything but pure. That's a Christed person. Jesus didn't look upon others, judge them, and then forgive them. That's not what he did. He couldn't see. He knew their behaviors, but he couldn't see in their soul a tainted person. It's only the human doings that look weird. In here, he's seeing the bride, the pure virgin bride. Virgin meaning you're pure. And you're not pure because of your behaviors. It's because you don't judge yourself for your behaviors. You might say, but I still do. That's normal. Laugh, notice it, cry if you need, but surrender those opinions to God. God, it's funny, I know you created me in your image, but I have all kinds of opinions. I'm naughty here, I'm naughty there, I did this and I shouldn't have, and what you did is you just read chapters of a book, and God says, now what do you want to do with the book? Do you want it to be your Bible? No, it's just a horror story, so burn it. Let it go, no matter what you've done. I don't care if you're a hitman, a drug addict, whatever we've done. That's not who I am today. That's why with one woman that's caught in prostitution, and several, this happened to several, but in using one instance, they say stone her, and they ask Jesus' opinion. And what does he say? Which of you are innocent? Because if he can get them to notice their innocence, they would see her innocence. Rather than see their own innocence and hers, they walked away. All he did was hold up a mirror, and that was enough to make them walk away. A light to the creepy ones made them run away like creatures under rocks. They all ran. But the story didn't end there. He says to her, hey, guess what? Where are your accusers? And she looks, she said, they're all gone. And he says, and I'm not going to accuse you. So what he does is an amazing lesson. Your accusers are gone. He's talking to you, me, all of us. Your accusers are gone. There's only one left, because I'm not going to, don't say God judges me. There's only one. So when you die and go to the other side and you have to witness your life flashing before your eyes, where are your accusers? Jesus is saying to you. If you have a philosophy or a belief that you're really entrenched in lifetimes and karma, that's what you'll live by on the other side. And you'll be back to do that. But you might try, wait, voice of Christ, where are your accusers? They're gone. Don't think I'm going to accuse you. Okay, well then who's that leave? Me. So now I have free will. I'm still going to judge myself as flawed, or today, no. And the way to really cap that off is, I want to see myself as you see me, God. That's the best way to get out of your temptation to see yourself and judge yourself. This kind of information is easy on your soul. Like when I talk, people say there's something easy about it, although some people will get, triggered. But generally, it's like it's smooth. How could this be so easy? Because, like the musician, I'm playing what we already know. That doesn't mean you shouldn't listen because you already know it. This brings it to the surface. This makes me aware of it. So the revelation stuff is telling you all that has to come out. And it has to, so that I can see who I really am. So there's a wedding at the end. Then Jerusalem, as it is, the new Jerusalem comes down and is brought peace on earth and goodwill to man. We don't ascend yet. We ascend in consciousness, but we live for a period of time. Course in Miracles tells that, great prophets have told us that, and the Bible tells us that. You're going to live a new life on earth for a while. Why? Because it's too much for you to go from this crazy way of living to pure heaven. You're going to go from this craziness to peace while on earth, and then when it integrates enough, you become heaven and you go. You just ascend to the rest of the way. So despite that scary book, it's only scary because it's showing us scary parts about ourselves. Be intimidated by the scary parts, and now they have power. See them, but don't try on your own to, yeah, man, I'm going to brave it, and I'm ready to look at all my darkest stuff. Some people will do that. They'll go on journeys, and man, I'm ready, and I'm going to let somebody take me on a journey to look at my darkest stuff. Only the Mother is capable of doing this flawlessly. Only the Holy Spirit and the Divine Mother. Why put your darkness in the hands of somebody who still has issues? Just saying. So, I hope I addressed most of your comments and questions. We're going home, and we're in the process of it. All the stuff you would like to not be happening on earth is happening because it's in us, and it's being mirrored to us. Don't wish it away. Don't wish that the world wasn't doing what it's doing. This is that which I am not coming out so I can discover that which I am. And begin dancing and celebrating. And when Jesus says, I'm warning you, they will persecute you for my name's sake. What he's saying is, when you smile more and you start to get this, some people will be annoyed. How can you smile? How can you vote for them or not them? How can you not vote at all? How can you not get upset about? See, they're actually seeing your peace, and their lack of it makes them want to attack you for your peace. That's your decision at that point. I don't think you should hide who you are. I also don't think you should unnecessarily flaunt it. You don't need to go in a big rally and go, guess what, everybody, I'm at peace. I don't know what your problem is. I think, that wouldn't go well. But you know what? Be who you are. The child of God. You are a holy child of God. We are daughters of heaven. We are not children of the earth like we think we are. Don't glorify all that human stuff. Don't think that by having a certain diet, you're special and better than others. It's just the diet you like for now. One day, it won't just be meat you give up. It won't just be processed foods, and so that you can eat organically. One day, you're going to laugh that you ate anything. One day, you're going to laugh and go, organic, non-organic. You don't even eat. Now you're a breatharian. And then one day, there's no breath to breathe. You're a spiritual being. The whole universe lives in you. No need. And then Revelation says, and now there will be no light and darkness. What does it mean? No duality. No polarity. No masculine, no feminine. Oh, but I want that, which is why we're dragging our feet now. Which is why it's not just snapping right into godness. Just gently. Imagine that you have the power to gently move into another place. Imagine that you can just slide into a sound, a tone, a vibration. You just in this place, no doing, no thinking. And as I slide into this place, my gender dissipates. My skin color dissipates. Culture, race, it just peels away. But if I don't have those things, needs, desires, allergies, triggers, just moving into that, oh, wow. All else peeling away. Divine Mother, help me now to forgive myself for all that I thought I was and never could be. In this peace, so glorious, there's this glorious vibration, light, calm, golden white light, just sparkles of peace and feelings of sublime energy. And just let yourself go there for a moment. Unwind. Muscles you don't have, let them go. Bask in the yummy energy. Grateful. Dancing with several people, dancing freely, tens of people. The good news of the Lord, which is, I am as God created me. Guess what? None of this ever happened. We dreamt it up. Did you hear the good news? Did you hear we're home? Did you hear God is with us? See, tell them that in your mind. Hey, have you heard? Tens of people, dozens and dozens, hundreds and hundreds. Where does it end? Thousands. They're not all people, they're angels, they're beings of light. Oh, finally, oh my God. Hey, did you hear? It was a dream. It was a dream. You know those people you were married to? Remember those weird things you did at parties? It was a dream. Let me hear any number of people laugh for a minute. A little more. Laugh at each other's laughter. Right? Laugh a little more. There's people outside who haven't heard the joke. Just go ahead. Go ahead. There you go. What are those people laughing about? Oh, we think they're crazy. They're just crazy. Really? They think you're crazy because you're so sad and broken. Haven't you heard? Right. Move. Feel. The room has no walls to keep anybody out. All souls throughout all time. The Roman murderers at the crucifix, come on in. Jesus himself wants to dance with you. The ones that threw rocks at the Buddha. Play. Come in and dance with us. Tribes from every continent, ancient tribes that fought with each other, kidnapped each other, murdered each other. Come in, guys, come on in. Yeah, but they're here. I know, isn't that great? Come in, dance. Forget your color, forget your tribe, forget your wardrobe, dance. And notice they make sounds, they chant, they move, and they can't think of their issues anymore. They're just dancing freely. There's a light from above shining through the crown and into the hearts of every one of us, and we're all dancing in the light of God. And imagine that the hand clap says, go away to all illusions, gone, go. Yeah. Cells, memories in your body, gone. Neurons, gone. Illusions, gone. The Antichrist, gone. Nothing to scare away now, nothing to shoo away. Our hands shift into giving. Hold your hands out and imagine light beaming from heaven through your head into your heart, out your arms to all people that you consider. Even in the rooms far away, you're here with us. Look around, place hands up to each other, touch hands and hold for a moment. Just for a moment, give them a blessing. The peace that I am, I give to you. Eye contact if you can. And just the peace that I am, I give to you. I hold nothing back. The peace that I am, I give to you. If there's anyone who hasn't had contact, raise a hand, and there'll be plenty that would gift it. The peace that I am, I share with you. The light that I am, I shine upon you. Deep breaths of gratitude. All that I shine upon you is right here as well. There's no gift of love that I would give any of you, we say to everyone, that I will not accept also with myself. So it is. Take a moment to reintegrate. Beautiful. In our lives, everything we do can be just sanctified in God, made sacred, whatever it is. Cleansings in the bathroom, your favorite foods, your diet, dancing, singing, laughing, parenting, all the things that happen. It's like, start the day with, it's all in your hands, God. And let God shine upon everything. Not one stone left unturned. If you see a counselor, leave nothing out. Tell them everything. Well, I don't know that I can trust them. Then why do you have them? Get a different counselor. I don't know where to find one. Really? How many people have you asked for a referral to a really progressive counselor? Well, I don't have any friends either to ask. Really? Have you gone on counseling hotlines? No, I didn't know they existed. Now you do. I still don't know anybody I can talk to. Okay, then do this. Take your worst, most vicious thing, your secret. Breathe into it, really get into it. Yeah, I live on an island by myself. Nobody's here. I'm a deserted island. I'm somebody who crashed my boat and I've been living on an island. Then do this. Get into it. Hold it. What's that dark secret you've got? Build it, build it, build it, build it. And then scream it out. Whatever it is. You will not spontaneously combust. Your worst, most vicious, evil secret, you'll find, has nothing. It's a nothing. Held in you, it will seem to have power in here and in your cells. Why would you want to put yourself up for that? Just let it out. No excuse. Scream it into a pillow. I would wash the pillow afterwards, but scream it. It'd probably smudge it too, but scream it out. There should be nothing that you believe has power over you. Get it out. And if you can ever reveal it to another person, it's another level of vulnerability. I've never told anyone, I love that. Michael, I've never told anyone, I'm like, oh, cool, here it comes. This is great. I love it. There's nothing that would shock me because I know us. I know it's okay. And at the end of the day, the most wicked behaviors, they know not what they do. I knew not who I was when I did that. I believe it. I get you. I get it. Sorry that happened. What do you want to do with it? Out. Now what do you want to do after that? Anybody? Refill. Replace it with something else. The yelling some naughty thing should be next. Here I am. And then the light. And all you did when you reveal those secrets, Book of Revelation, you can wait till it books you, or you can just start your reading now. That's all, just no secrets. Then here comes the New Jerusalem descending, which is God into my crown, into my being, and I'm just, wow. Heaven on earth. And I might still be in a body, but it's heaven on earth. Please share in our love offerings and we'll do our closing prayer. Be as generous as you can be. The wicker baskets are for any extra donations, if you can share what you're inspired to share for our people of lesser means or some of our projects. The blue bags are where we put our general donations, so please do that. Online, please, there's a button that you can click there. And if ever there's trouble online with donations, just call the office and make one through the office. A deep sense of gratitude for our musician, John Dumas, please. And he's got some products in the foyer, so check those out, CDs and that sort of thing. And he's got a website you can go to. All right. For our love offering, together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. While they're passing those out, a couple of quick things to share with you. First of all, this month, the last Sunday, the 25th, I'll do a workshop, first time in several years, and we're going to do it as an all-day workshop. It's on the Aquarian Gospel, which is the kind of weaving the four Gospels together, but also the lost books of the Bible and all kinds of secrets of the things in between. So it's really a great way to get into the real story of Jesus, but also not just Jesus, but Christ consciousness. Next Sunday, the 18th, remember, is our monthly psychic fair. So if you can sign up ahead of time for readers, they do fill up when we have these Sedona psychic fairs. Remember, in the bookstore, we have books I've written, but all kinds of people's books and gifts. But also I have DVD sets, and I typically don't announce those, but the DVD sets each have 4 different talks in a theme, like 4 talks on healing, 4 of these talks at these centers, 4 of them on healing, 4 of them, on spirituality or whatever. So a lot of different topics. Remember the crystal beds available. So we have our yurt here, the healing room, and you can go in and get crystal bed sessions. They're in 20-minute increments. And last but not least, you can, however you want to support, we appreciate it. Donations in all kinds of different forms, online or, they take a lot of different forms. You can do tithing or gifting or one time or consistent. And, my heart goes out because I know of 2 cases just recently where some of you remember I was talking about prophecy and things that were coming to the earth. And one of them had to do with finances. And one of, our attendees sent in a notice, kind of saying they didn't take my advice about things and they lost a great deal of what they had, which, breaks my heart. But please understand, the world is changing. And so you're going to want to receive guidance, whether it's through someone or directly. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do, get some guidance on how to change, because the world is changing. You don't want to be a victim, so to speak. Get plugged in so you're guided as to what to do in these changes. And we also had a testimonial from somebody who said, I heard what you predicted, I did what you said, and here's a large donation just based a percentage of what we saved and would have lost had we not listened. So pay close attention. Listen. Don't think this is a joke, we're making these things up. The world is changing. And that which is not the real world has to die. It has to collapse because it isn't real. It has to go. We want it to go. The real us. We have no interest in false, so it's dying. But on its way out, it screams. It does. It screams and it writhes and it tries to keep a sense of power through intimidation or whatever other form. So, like Jesus with the women at the side of the road, don't believe in what you're seeing. Let it collapse. It's not easy, but government's collapsed already. Environment, ecosystems of every kind, financial, all of it is dying. And don't think that, here's the solution. No. Here's the solution. You have to be in your center, and that's the solution. The storms are going to start raging more and more, literally and figuratively, every kind, whether it's political or health crisis. It's going to storm louder and faster. And hold, hold, hold. And then I heard a silence, John says. And that's where we're going. On the other side of that silence is the wedding, where my soul, the bride, finds her purity again and says, I'm married, I'm ready to marry now the Christ, the bridegroom. And then I'm home. Right? Cool, huh? Can anybody share what they learned or heard today that made the most sense or might be the most valuable? Okay, well, thank you. Fine. Now I have issues to go work on. Yes. No rock left unturned. That's right.
I wanted to thank you. I
Yep.
had a fairly profound dream last night. And this whole discussion was an hour and a half expansion of a really short, profound dream.
Wow.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Breathe. Yeah, breathe. Just sit with that for a sec. Mark, would you mind just placing a hand on his back? Thanks. Mark? Yeah. You can pitch in too. That's good. You can pitch in. Thanks. Just breathe in. These are brothers that are giving you love and letting you know that anything you once believed or went through, it was not true. Brothers are there with you right now. Breathe, breathe. And you're a symbol to all of us, receiving healing, and we're all receiving it with you. He shared that he had a dream last night, and somehow this talk was an elaboration on his dream. But I ask you, how could that be? How could this have happened? It's a miracle. But the miracle is because I love him. See? How could this happen? How could he have shared that if he didn't love you? Somehow, when we get plugged in, magic happens. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks, guys. It's a beautiful image to see these brothers with you, by the way. It's really nice to have seen that. Anyone else? Yes. Both of you. Yes.
I'm a single mom, and my little one has been asking me to have a dad.
Mm.
And yesterday I tried to tell her, let's just have fun. If he's there, let's have fun and
Yes.
be here. And today was all about just being joy.
So somehow this was all your life.
Yes.
Do you know the words, killing me softly? No, I'm kidding. See, so this talk is all like hitting you at that level. And I want to say, a single mom or dad out in the world, a single mom raising a son, and I want a dad. And first to the child, who's not right here, but to the child. We all send blessings. You're good. Be at peace, brother. Be at peace, child. You are already enough. And in your mom is both a male and a female. Allow her to be your dad and your mom. We say to his soul, allow it. Let go of the temptation to see yourself missing half of your parent. No, it's an illusion. And you accept in you, there's male and female. Be both. Yes, dear.
I also have had sort of similar experiences living here. Every time I've come to this church since I moved to Sedona months ago, every time I've had this experience.
Yeah.
I can't call upon anything specific today, but pretty much everything that you said was like things
Yeah.
that I've been contemplating for the last 2 days.
Beautiful. Every time you come here, you're experiencing you. All of your stuff, questions, whatever, and especially the last couple of days, stuff's been on your mind, and it ends up happening. How does it happen? See, even a channel could claim to be a channel who channels at you their information about their planet or whatever it is. right? Imagine a channel that is us. See? Like, wow, this is God, self, others, all connecting so that we're revealed to us everything that we need to know today. And one person's over there and one person, totally different people living different places. And they're like, how did he know? It's how do we know? And the answer is love. Because if I don't love you, I'll just lecture at you. Right? It's like, "Oh, I'm just doing it for the money. I get paid to do this." That's lecturing at people. When you go, you know what? If I were a billionaire and didn't need an income, I'd still be doing this. This is who I am, not what I do. Okay? But thank you. Yes, yes.
It stops us from being who we really are.
Right.
It's similar to what I was reading in that book, but it's so profound.
Wow.
The ego really tries hard to disguise itself.
How much the ego disguises itself. Even, again, every distraction, which is everything. I mean, I could have favorite food, which for me is Domino's pizza. But if I have food and I go, oh, this food's delicious. Wait, I'm serious. I just went out of my center. Bring it here. Right? And now it changes everything. How could this not be nutritious if I'm in my Christ self? I swear to you, no food ingredient, nor insecticide or weed kill, nothing can harm you when you are as God created you. When you deviate into look out for bads and oh, delicious goods, even romance, let it unwind inside. The before I kiss you, I'm already loving you. And then the love becomes the kiss. And the kiss is centered first together. Let it decide what kind of kiss next. Let it unwind. Let it move and create. What we do is separate and act. It's the doing. And it's not easy to pull this off, because if suddenly you leave here and you go to a grocery store and you meet somebody, hi, nice to meet you, and you're like, take their hand, you're like, they're going to be like, wow, wow, clink, 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 right? They're going to be freaked. So I think you gotta, pace yourself. Why though? Because I love myself. And so with what's appropriate, to bring that, just imagine bringing that center to everything. That now everything I do is brought to the light. The Native Americans, many tribes describe in their oral tradition, they describe a man that's Jesus by definition, by description. He had wounds in his wrists, he had in his feet, that Jesus came here and taught Native American tribes. Okay? He went everywhere and people don't realize it. So he came to the Americas, and in the Americas they say, we used to just hunt and live. This man came to us. He was a healer and a teacher. And he was the child of God, like the holy child of God, teaching us that we're all that. But they say, this is their tradition. He taught us, he didn't shame them for using animal meat for their tribes. He said, if you're going to take its life, pray for it to give up its spirit and thank it. Then here's what he's saying. Now you took its life, but watch, that's the outer world. You took its life. Oh, I feel bad. No, it's gone. You take it. And the center that you're in, you'll take the cells of that being, the soul of that animal, to higher dimensions because you brought it into a holy relationship. And that's what you're supposed to be doing when you make love. You're supposed to be sharing it to where we're supposed to both exit this experience higher somehow. Did I use you or did we share something? And so the native, which we know the natives would do that prayer, but people have forgotten where they got it. Their own tradition say they got it from this man that came from across the ocean, lighter skinned and, light brown or whatever hair, and these amazing bluish eyes and wound marks, which doesn't mean he hadn't healed yet. That's an insignia. That's a statement so that they would remember who he was and pass the word. They talk about his seamless white robe and so on and so on. So it's amazing. But I don't share all those stories because sometimes people go, well, where does he get this? I don't know, whatever. Go study it. Yes?
Interestingly, what you were saying about the Native Americans, one of the things I found out about the Druids is sacrifice actually comes from the French sacre faire, and basically what they would do is sacred, basically offering themselves.
Right.
Offering their souls.
Right.
In that. And part of what the Druids were doing is honoring them, and some of the, quote, sacrifice went to the gods.
Yeah.
But most of it was for the people to share.
Yeah,
And
like the word
way of bringing them
sacrifice.
together.
A sacred affair, or it's a sacred experience. But ancients, like the Mayans, they just brought fruits from the fields and put them on the altar.
Yeah,
It was other tribes that invaded the Mayans that forced upon them human sacrifice. Now, this is the cool thing. Some tribal leaders once upon a time heard, wait, I'm hearing that we're supposed to sacrifice a human being, which is accurate. That's what they were hearing. Who was the person they were supposed to sacrifice? Themselves, their own human nature. And what they did is, it couldn't be me. It's got to be you. Let's find a virgin. Throw them into the volcano. They don't tend to fight back. They're really kind of sweet. God.
Sacrifice doesn't necessarily mean killing, and that was a misinterpretation.
To release, to give up, right, to make sacred. Isn't it weird how the mind, the humans, they just mess it up? But we can understand what it is now. There's no sacrifice but yourself, and that's not even a sacrifice because you're giving up that which you are not. And if you're not it, there's nothing that you're really giving up. So we're really asked to do nothing other than let it be. Let it be. Please stand. Thanks for setting the announcements up here. Admins, appreciate that every week. So soaking in the gratitude, and thank you for sharing all your heartfelt messages after the service and what you gained, what you learned, and your deep appreciation. Let's please understand that. That's not just a magical thing done here. This is our destiny to be like that with everyone. To know what your children need before they tell you. To know what an animal needs before it tells you in some form. To know, to just know. To see all the connectedness of everything and let it just start to channel through. This is beyond even shamanic concepts. Holy children of God, living in a sense of oneness with everything. I love you all. Please forgive me for any time I've ever forgotten this. I send this invitation to all beings, all consciousness. I love you. Forgive me for forgetting at times. I welcome this relationship that I am. The light of God surrounds us.
We are the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
We are the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
We are the power of God.
The presence of God watches over us.
We are the presence of God.
Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. God bless all of you. Peace be with you. Bye-bye. You're welcome. Thank you, brother.